now, just hit that subscribe button first, then the like button. The more subs I get, the better this channel does, the more cool stuff I get to do, which means the more cool stuff you get to see. So anyway, before I get to fishing, it's been rough lately. Fished probably 5 days last week, got skunked 5 times. This trip I just kind of brought as much gear as I could throw in the van, and didn't really know what the plan was. Initially I was going to try and fish for catfish, but wasn't working out, and got on some crappie, and you know what, I was just so happy to be catching something that went ahead and just fished for the crappie. Now it is summertime, it's well into summer, spawn's well over, so catching crappie from the bank can be a little difficult this time of year. However, if you know where to look, it's not so bad. So if we look at the spot I was fishing, you noticed I'm up under a bridge, and there's a reason you can catch the crappie from the bank there and not a lot of other places, and it mainly has to do with 2 things. First thing is depth. You can hit, 15-20 feet of water from the bank there. A lot of banks are real shallow, and during the spawn, the fish are only in 2, 3, 4 feet of water, so it works. But once it starts getting hot, those fish go a little deeper. And what's interesting is they don't actually go that deep. I was catching them maybe 2, 3 feet down in the water column, but they don't really go, they like to hang out over deep water, so if it gets too hot, they can go down deeper where it's more comfortable. And the second thing they really like is vertical structure. A lot of people will go catch them around the trees and sticks and stumps, which I thought about doing, but I didn't feel like getting my kayak out and dealing with all that. And a lot of people, fish around them bridge columns. Man, they love the bridge columns. It's everything they could possibly ask for. And not only that, on the cherry on top is it's shaded, so they can get out of the sun. So that makes for the depth, the vertical structure, and the shade makes for a deadly combination. You can go out there even on the hottest days, as long as you know what you're doing a little bit, and catch some fish. So next I'm going to go over my gear I was using, and then we'll see you on the lake. Okay, so this here is the rod I was using. I had a bunch of rods with me, but this is the one I was using and catching on. And what it is, H2O Express H2O RP10, and what this is it's a 10-foot long ultralight action jigging pole. There's certain situations where having that real long pole really gives you an advantage. Now if I was tied up, I know this from experience, if I was out in my boat or kayak tied up under the pillars, this would be about one of the worst rods possible. You really want a short rod for that, but since I was on the bank and casting to the pillars, this long rod combined with this really light line really enabled me to cast out to the pillars where the fish were. And as far as the setup goes, I just got, I think I say in the video too, a double jig rig, which is a pretty simple rig to tie up. You just one jig with a loop knot, leave a big long extra, and then tie a second one with a loop knot and trim it off. And as far as colors go, Smithville's a pretty dingy color lake. Typically anything bright will catch fish. As far as dingy watercolors go, I think one of the best for Smithville is anything chartreuse. Black and chartreuse works well, white and chartreuse works well, pink and chartreuse works well. There's a few other colors I've had success with up there too. White is pretty much a good all-around color for any body of water. It'll catch fish in dingy water and clear water. If I were in a different lake that was more clear, I'd be looking at more like whites and silvers, and Bobby Garland has a blue ice color I really like. That's actually what this is. This is the blue ice right here, and then I dipped the tail in Spike It, which is like a scented lure dye you can get at Academy. And I did that because I knew I was going to go to Smithville and they'd be wanting that chartreuse. The other color that works good up there is these, I forget, it's a cream swirltail I believe. It's got the chartreuse tail, half black, half blue. And then I've also had a lot of success on white and chartreuse up there. So dingy, basically what it boils down to is Bright colors are best to be used in dingier water, and any water that's clear enough to have some visibility to it. I like to use more natural minnow colored jigs. So we already got our first fish of the day. It's this little crappie here. We love crappie and we're getting low, so we're gonna go ahead and hold on to him. Hopefully we can get some more. Hopefully something cool happens on our catfish poles. Stick around. Alright guys, here we go. Another crappie. Oh no. Well, he got away. Alright guys, another little crappie right there. They're all pretty much in that same size range, but hey, trying to reduce the dinks, so we're getting them out of here. So, got a double jig rig on here. Got the curly tail, black, blue, green, electric chicken, Mr. Crappie shad pole, and I've had 4 bites, and so far 3 of them have been on the shad pole, but the last one bit the, oh shit, blue, green, and white. I just cast it up on top of the bridge. There we go. Now this is easier to do from a boat, but with these big long poles, you can really whip it out there. And the crappie are hanging out around those bridge columns out there. I had some catfish poles out too, but they're just getting snagged, so we'll save that for another day. This is now a crappie video, but all I'm doing is getting as close to those poles as I can, letting it sink for about 10 seconds or so, and just kind of slowly working it back. There is a few brush piles in between these bridge pillars too that they're hanging on, so this area right here is usually pretty loaded with them. So the thing about crappie, when it gets hot in the summertime, usually they go a little deep and they get hard to find from the bank. But if you can find a spot like this where it drops off real steep and there's vertical cover that they can hang by, you can get them from the bank still. Alright guys, we're on another one here. Don't have a lot of size to them, but we're catching them. Wow, he absolutely swallowed that bait right there. Look at that. Electric chicken seems to be it. Alright, got another one on here. Seems like he might be a little better. Nah, he's just a little angrier. He's a little bit bigger. He's over 9 inches, that's for sure. Maybe right at 9. He went for the white that time. Alright, got another fish on. It's been a minute. And go, another little guy. Ooh, got another good one on here. It's a little bit bigger. They kind of switched. They were hitting the electric chicken, now they're hitting the white. I don't know if it has anything to do with depth because it's the bottom jig or what, but they're hitting the white all of a sudden. Here's one, he hit it on the fall. He hit it. This dude hit it. Tried to swallow that little jig. This one's so small though, we're gonna let him go. Another one. Fish are turning on a little bit. Another one, but he's tiny. That's two tinies in a row. That don't feel like a crappie. I guess it is. It's probably the biggest one today though. Oh yeah. Oh, that's gonna be a fish right there. There we go. Still going for the white more than anything else. Not a bad one. Tell you what, guys, it is good to be catching some fish. I've gotten skunked. I don't know, man. I fished, I think 5 out of 6 days last week, or 5 out of 7, and got skunked 5 times in a row. And I realize this may not be the most exciting fishing ever, but this feels good to be catching something. Well, guys, it's kind of slowing down a bit. Seems to happen when it gets dark. And I don't necessarily think it's because the crappie start biting. I just think stop biting. I think they just can't see as good in the dark. And I forgot my light, so it's pretty much it, but I'm satisfied. We caught plenty of fish. Alright, y'all, it's the next day. I actually recorded the intro segment today too, but it's the next day. I've had these fish on ice all night. I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to fillet a crappie again, just because I did it in my first video, and well, not that many people have seen it, so I'm gonna do it again for y'all. It's quick and easy, and alright, so as always, we got our knife. Gotta get a good one. Got our paper towels, got our bowl of salt water, and we got our spoon. So we'll go ahead and grab one of these, get him dried off, easy so he's less slippery. And these guys are pretty quick and easy. So all you do, get your knife right behind the head. I like to flip him over, get my knife right down there where it hits the bones, and kind of try to turn it outwards like so, and keep it angled down like towards the spine, kind of like this, and just use that curved part of the blade to your advantage and work along the back. Alright, once you get to that point, so what I've done, I cut down, turned around, and then using the curve of the knife, I kind of hold my knife mostly flat, but down just a hair, twisted down, and just go back like that. I'll get to this point, go back down again, same kind of angle like this, and just go back up. Okay, so now we're all the way to that point. Then we angle the knife about like this, which is approximately at the angle the ribs go, and get it through. See how it's starting to come out right here? Go like that, keeping it towards the spine, and just a couple quick little cuts like that, and then we can just work our way back along here. Whoops. I don't like cutting through the ribs. Some guys will just cut straight through them and then pull them out of their fillet later. I don't. And you know, each their own. This is just how I do it. A bigger crappie would have some meat in here worth going after. This one's small enough that I don't even bother. So then we just flip it over. Other side's more or less the same. What I just did there was not good. I'm cutting towards myself. Don't do that. And then, you know, this side can be a little trickier than the other side, for me anyway, but it's the same kind of procedure here. Sometimes if I have trouble with this side, I'll go in right here at the base of this fin and kind of work my way back up towards the front. There we go. Now we can make our forward cut. Now that that's done, we can make our backward cut. Make sure, sometimes like right there, it's coming out on the back side of that fin. We don't want that, so if that happens, just kind of pull out, change your angle a little bit until it comes out right there at the base, like right about where that is. And then we just, same deal, and then and then when I get to this point, I'll just kind of hold it down like this and just do like that. And we missed practically no meat on this little fish here. And if you live in a state where it's legal, the heads and stuff are good catfish bait, but Missouri considers crappie a game fish, and in Missouri it's illegal to use game fish as bait. So then the next thing I like to do is get the skin off of them. If I have a whole mess of them, which I'll do this for the rest of them, I'll usually fillet them all, then skin them all, just so I'm not doing anything. This knife, the blade extends. You can flip this little switch here and it goes in and out. I like to fillet them on the 6-inch and then pull it out to like 9 inches for skinning. If your knife doesn't do that, it's okay. Just work with what you got. But anyway, to skin them, you just get your spoon, hold the skin down like that. And I like to kind of use the edge of the board as a guide, like so. I'm kind of keeping my knife more or less even with the edge of the board out here, the handle, and then it's almost 100% flat, but just slightly angled towards the skin, and we just work that off of there, like, and if you do that, no big deal, just move it up a little bit and just work that off of there. Like so. And then on the crappies, if you're going to fry them, especially small ones like this, it doesn't matter. But if you're going to cook them pretty much any other way, they got a little row of bones right here. And I like to just cut those out. Like I said, these bones are so small, if you fry them, probably won't even know they're there. But if you make like tacos or whatever, it doesn't matter, anything that's not bathing them in grease, you'll probably want to cut those bones out. Alright guys, so we're done cleaning fish. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and make ceviche out of some of this crappie. Now, ceviche does involve uncooked fish, so disclaimer, warning, whatever you want to call it. It can have, you know, it's for most people you'll be fine, but there is a little bit of risk involved when eating anything, you know, undercooked seafood, meat, whatever. So you know, if you have, you know, a weak immune system or health issues or whatever, maybe pass on this one. But Gonna be making some ceviche, and something else I want to add before we get going is the fish I'm using today is not the fish that I just caught and cleaned. The reason for that is if you are going to eat raw fish, especially fish you've caught yourself, it's best to give it a good solid freeze first, just to help reduce the risk of anything. So I'm actually going to eat some crappie that I caught back in March, and it's been in my freezer for like 3 months, and the fish I caught in this video are just going to wind up in the freezer themselves more than likely for now. So anyway, let's get going. Alright guys, so what you see before you is all the ingredients you will need to make this other than the fish. I already made, if you watched my sand bass video, we made some fish tacos, and I already showed you how to make pico. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that. I'm just going to go ahead and get all these chopped up into the bowl, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so at this point, we've got our vegetable mix made. That's just, I forgot to tell you all earlier, there's onion in there too. So the next thing we'll do is we'll take our fish fillets and just cut them into little pieces like that. Just little nuggets. Okay, about like that. And then we'll get a small bowl. Then we get lime. Squeeze that lime into here. We need as much juice as possible out of this thing. We'll sink down there. Okay, so now that we have our juice in here, what we're going to do, we're going to put our fish in it. We're going to stir it around real good and make sure it's all thoroughly coated. And what's going to happen is, because of the acidity of that lime juice, I forget what the word is, but it's gonna change the, it's gonna make the meat look as though it's been cooked. It's gonna turn white and firm up and everything else. It'll take 15-20 minutes to get there, but yeah, it's essentially gonna look and have the texture of cooked fish after it's done. But like I said, we're not applying any heat. Best way to minimize your risk with this is take a fresh fish, get it filleted right away, and then stick those fillets in the freezer so that, you know, you reduces your risk. You can kind of see it's already started to change color there a little bit. So anyway, we'll let that sit for about 15-20 minutes, and then we'll come back. Alright, so it's been a little while, and as you can see, pick up a piece of this here. That looks like cooked fish. And it has a similar kind of consistency and texture as cooked fish, and that's what soaking in the lime juice will do for it. I might give it just a little bit longer just to be sure, and then we'll go ahead and mix it all up and give it a taste. Alright, so it's been long enough. This stuff's looking pretty good. Let's just give it the old dump-a-rooney. Stir it up real good. Alright, we're going to let that sit for just a few more minutes just to let the lime juice soak into the veggies and stuff. Alright guys, so best way to eat this stuff, tortilla chip. Get you a nice big old scoop. Real good, especially if you get all these vegetables fresh. If you made it this far in the video, just want to say thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as like. I know this fishing trip didn't catch any monsters or anything, but man, it just felt good to catch some fish. It's been pretty rough lately. So anyway, if you made it this far, again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.